What's happening? It's your main man, Raw T. Getting it in and getting it done. We definitely about to have some fun. I am here at Sardis Missionary Baptist Church with my man with the Bibleology swag. Go ahead and let them know about the theology. Let them know who you are again. And don't forget, let's go ahead and invite them to church before we get started.
Absolutely,
Because they coming.
absolutely.
They
Yeah,
coming.
great. I'm Kurt Clark. I'm the senior pastor here at Sardis Missionary Baptist Church in the great city of Birmingham, Alabama, where our motto is where we experience Christ, share his word, and build believers. Certainly want to say that I'm excited to be a part again of another episode with my main man, Rod T, here as we do our best to inform and engage the community with our topics and discussions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, Pastor, I had to let's let them know this is carrying the cross talk.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
carrying the cross every week. Everybody has a cross that they shall carry to learn about themselves and persevere and push through. My version of carrying the cross, I had well, on the side I do
hmm
celebrity booking.
hmm
I'm a celebrity booking agent. So, I actually was working with an organization and they dropped the ball. I had
Yeah,
three personnel booked. One in California, two in Atlanta. Coming to a little small town.
yeah.
And they dropped the ball. And the guy told me he went from get under my budget to go 2,000 under my budget
Wow.
to all of a sudden we won't have no
Yeah,
budget.
depleting your budget. Yeah, I saw it coming. I saw it coming. Yeah,
Yeah, and I said, are you? I said, old school can't teach a new dog.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
man, look,
yeah.
I work with you, and you did everything but work with me.
Wow. Yeah,
So I had to call those platinum artists back,
yeah.
those guys who doing tributes to icons.
hmm
And they getting called in front of governors and presidents. I had to call these people back
hmm
and say, no, that ain't gonna happen.
Fell through. Yeah,
So I turned it to my mom, the
yeah,
business administration.
yeah,
Oh, I'm gonna need a letterhead,
yeah,
disclosing all the moves that we had to make
yeah,
and why you didn't come through on your end, so it
yeah,
won't be on me.
yeah. Absolutely.
So that,
Yeah,
that was my carrying across, man. So
yeah.
that devastating, man. How about yourself? How?
Man, there are different variations of how we all individually have to, shoulder our crosses, and that's the thing. It's never really easy as we would like for it to be.
Hmm.
And so, one unique thing about my week, leading over into the week that's ahead of us, is that I've had to remind myself sometimes that I have to not kind of, but I have to deny sometimes some things that I want to do
Yeah,
and do those things that I know God is wanting us to do.
yeah.
Right. So, carrying the cross, it's never really easy as we would want it to be, but yeah, but we get it done with His help.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump right in there. Let's not keep them waiting.
Okay.
Let's not keep us waiting. This is actually therapeutic for me. I don't know about y'all, but
Yeah,
it's very therapeutic for me.
certainly for me too.
So let's go ahead and jump right in it. Why are people content when their full potential has not been tapped?
Wow, that's a question for me.
That,
Right?
that's for you. Man. I can't answer it. I
Why are
can't
people
help you.
content when their full potential has not been tapped? Sometimes people are afraid of the humiliation, the disappointment, and the trauma
Right.
of previous failures.
Okay. Okay.
But every failure is an opportunity to reassess and reevaluate, your plan, your strategy, what it is that you're wanting to do in life. So,
Hmm.
I mean, if you can't fine tune your strategies by utilizing your failures
Hmm.
to perfect your plan,
Yeah.
then without a plan, it's a plan to fail.
Plan to
So that
fail.
I've heard that said over and over again. But sometimes people are afraid of revisiting the disappointment of failure, the humiliation of failure,
Mm.
the trauma of failure,
Okay.
and it paralyzes them and keeps them from persevering.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Now, a lot of kids definitely are trying to live the fast track,
yeah,
and it causes a lot of failures,
yeah,
right? So we get led in various ways. I have a personal question.
Mhm,
We both
mhm.
attended, colleges,
Yeah, yeah,
and graduated,
yeah.
and
Ultimately, we did. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Eventually, I
exactly.
should
A
say.
lot of folks say they're 10.
Yeah.
They're like, but they don't say graduate 10. So I want to ask you,
Yeah.
from a biblical standpoint, do you feel as though college is necessary?
I think college itself is a great enhancement. It's a
Okay,
great tool. But also, I do think that a skill and a trade is just as important as being useful, a
gotcha.
tool, some type of utility that you can employ to make a living, to make a
Hmm.
life, right?
Hmm.
I can't say that one is preferred over the other because you have to know what your skill set requires.
Gotcha.
For me, if it's manual, I'm going to be somewhere getting a trade, being an apprentice
Okay.
to somebody. And again, if it's me and my skill set calls for, you know, academia,
Hmm.
then I'm going to be in somebody's school somewhere trying to
Right.
better myself.
Right. And see,
Yeah.
Jesus was a carpenter, right?
He was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
But that brother was cold, though. I mean, he was a carpenter, but while he was out there, engaging in his trade, he was
Right.
thinking about ways in which he could communicate God's plan to other people. So he had this kind of dual sense of existence.
Right.
He did the work. Paul himself was a tent maker.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
Paul writes,
That's a good job. Well, he was
yeah,
roofing.
yeah,
He
he
said
was
roofing back
yeah, he was
then.
doing some, yeah, but he was responsible for writing over half the New Testament.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be one or the other; it can be both and.
Hmm.
But whatever it is that your interest is,
Hmm.
you ought to pursue it the best way that will help you to perfect it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Cause now I do want to ask you this, building off of this, the college necessary part. Do so back then, the guy, the gentleman that's writing books of the Bible,
Paul. Yeah.
Paul, yeah, and so was it more so like a from a diary aspect? Was it wisdom? Was it
Yeah. So
you
you
know?
asking
So
technical questions
yeah. I
today?
mean,
I mean, it's like
I hate to get technical, but I mean it's so
yeah.
what I'm kind of getting
I
at is
like it.
like
Yeah.
when you putting the Bible together,
Yeah.
we all really don't know.
Yeah.
We don't. But at the same time, how or we had to go to school to obtain the knowledge that we know.
Sure.
What did they do back then?
Yeah, they had community text.
Okay.
They had community scrolls
Right.
that govern how community itself would live in community.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, when you start to to read and to study and research how the compilation of the Bible came to be,
Hmm.
you discover that a lot of what we have now as the canon, the Bible,
Okay.
was not initially intended to be that kind of corpus or text.
Right. Right.
Through the evolution of time,
Hmm.
it became a compilation of sacred communications, I guess you would say.
So what you're telling me is this was a big mixtape of religion.
Yeah,
The Bible is a
yeah,
mixtape of
yeah.
all
Oh
religious
man, listen.
religious guys.
Yeah, I mean,
So to speak.
yeah, I mean, it's
Coming
like,
out the
yeah,
new mixtape,
yeah.
Holy
So
and Thus.
that's right. So, like, what happens today? I mean, in terms of what people gravitate to, is basically what they are exposed to, and what you're exposed to is the creation of creative artists, like people today, like just any of the artists, like
Mhm.
Jay Z, Wheezy,
Right,
and a whole lot of these other rappers whose names start with Lil
right,
Baby,
right,
Lil
right, right.
this,
Yeah,
Lil that.
look.
So what they are exposed to
Mhm.
through the creative genius of these artists, a lot of these people they abide by,
Right.
right? It just so happened that in the ancient Mediterranean world, in the earlier times of the inhabitants of those geographical places, they just adhered to what was a wise collection of instruction for their community.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And with that being said, I can definitely take it as a lot of those things were being done for the first time
yeah,
and taking a leap of faith.
yeah,
And you said, "Hey, I have the
yeah,
righteous word. I learned this.
yeah,
Listen to me."
yeah,
So with that being said, with us these days,
yeah.
the next question I want you to address: why are people scared to face their failures.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's like when you revisit something that has been a disappointment. You're like, wow, I tried to put all of my efforts to ensure this will go well and succeed, but when it doesn't, success or failure, I
Mhm.
should say, is not the final um, segment
Right.
in one's life. It just provides you an opportunity to push back and to fine tune whatever it is that needed a little bit more adjusting in order to succeed.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that they're afraid to fail because they don't want to be seen in the face of other people as being unsuccessful. But
Is that
nothing beats a failure but another try.
right? Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, nothing beats a failure but another try like
Yeah.
that. Does is there any instances in the Bible where that kind of vaguely comes across something?
Yeah, yeah, there are times in the Bible when it says even of God that it repented him that he made man, that he made
Mm,
us.
mm.
Well, was it um, an instant or an episode of God giving up on us? No,
Right.
because
Right.
we're here,
Okay.
right?
Right. Right.
But the communication at that point, wherein it is expressed that God repented that he had made man, was that, listen, you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Gotcha.
because you've hit a bump in the road does not mean it's a red light,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's just a part of the progress that we are called to in order to live a fruitful and a productive life.
Right. Just I guess just cause Eve ate the apple,
Yeah.
or gave it. I guess now God gave us another chance, so now Grandma make apple pie.
Apple pie, that's right.
Yeah.
You get a lemon, you make lemonade,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So now we have a lot of it's a lot of people lost in the world. They're trying to find themselves late. The communities are running wild, so to speak.
Mhm.
There's no get in before the street light. If
Yeah.
it is,
Oh
it's
yeah.
very minimal. When I was younger, man, it was a grandmother on every porch.
Yeah. Yeah.
My two grandmothers,
Yeah.
my mom, and my dad
Yeah.
mom, they stayed 5 blocks in a straight line.
Wow.
All I had to do was go one house to the corner and go straight down the street,
Yeah.
and I ran right into my other grandmother.
Yeah.
But if you're at one grandmama house, that's where you're supposed to be at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I took my big wheel. That's how small I was. I took my big wheel. I had to be about 4. And I had sense enough to know if I make this left, I can make it to my other grandma's house and see my dad.
Wow.
Man, every grandmother house that I passed was calling my mom's grandma. Miss Dee Dee, he didn't pass this. Miss Dee Dee, your grandson just waving.
What that boy doing down
He
here?
got his own parade going. He just, man. So
Yeah.
she knew. So she got like 11 calls.
Yeah.
Back to the house. Man, my mom came down and just spun me around. Just
Yeah.
spun me around, just tied me up.
Yeah. That
So
was the end of your NASCAR.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I parked it nice in the street. I parked it how they were parking. But will we ever become a village again?
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe that that we are village,
Okay.
but the way in which we live now, which is not as tight
Right.
or tightly woven as we did in those days that you are describing.
Right.
I do think that I'm optimistic that we will get back to that sort of community concern that one house had for the next house and one neighbor had for the next neighbor. But it's going to take a lot of what we're doing today. Getting back in the community, those of us who realize that we have drifted so far from where we once were,
Right. Right.
it's going to be us. It's going to be the Rod T's. It's going to be the Kurt Clarks of the world who are going to have to get back into the streets and say, listen, it's time for us to coalesce
Right.
and to corral our interests and our resources so that our children can be safe and so that our grandparents, our grandmothers, and our overall community can be safe.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I guess when you put it in that perspective, it's more so like we, like you said, we are a village.
Mhm.
It's just that the personnel in the village
Yeah.
aren't fulfilling their roles.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And we can't be too damning of them or too
Okay.
hard on them,
Right.
because I think all of us have played a part in where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we've not been in the spots and the places where we should have been.
Right.
Or we gotta
Right.
we gotta face our failures and get back out there and say, listen, this is where we dropped the ball. This was where we let some things slip, and we're back out here now to fix it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So my next question that I want to drop on you and get some mental guidance on for all of us that are carrying the cross. What is something that we should learn now that will help us later in life?
Yeah, you know that old saying that Rome wasn't built overnight.
Right.
I think if we could really appreciate that, that progress in small increments,
Okay.
is going to yield a greater harvest or result,
Okay. Right.
or return. I mean, if you start making those, I'm teaching a Bible study here now on micro shifts,
Okay.
which means that in order for you to measure your own progress, there have got to be certain things that you do that are small, wherein you can gauge and appreciate how you're becoming better, right?
Yeah.
Because if you never employ or implement something that you're going to do different, that is that's just even that's small, then you can't measure how well you are navigating life.
Wow.
So if I do one thing today
Yeah.
that improves my view of how life is to be lived, I've done something that I can celebrate, and I just continue to impact my life that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds great, man. Well, look,
Yeah.
that has been another episode of
Already?
Carrying the
We're
Cross.
done?
Already, man, the time has flown.
All right.
Look, we
Oh,
gotta get some
wow.
commercial breaks or so. We need some
Okay.
sponsors out there,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it definitely has been fulfilling, and I definitely appreciate your time. So we're gonna go ahead and cap this thing off and sign out. Is there anything you wanna
I'm
tell
always
everybody?
this makes my week, right? In a way that I'm always excited. Never know what Rod T's gonna bring to the
Yes,
microphone.
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
whenever I hear him say, like, on another note, I'm like, oh wow, what's coming next? But it's always
Yeah. Mind is
engaging.
churning, mind
It's
churning.
always it's always informative. And I want to say thank you for what you do.
Oh, appreciate you.
Holla at you.